and my co-host is Samson Halo. Hi, Samson. How
Hi,
you
everybody.
doing?
I'm good, Julie. How are you?
I'm fine, really good. So today on Your Life, Your Voice, we have a special guest speaker.
Yep, we have a special guest speaker coming all the way from NDS to talk to us about who who she is and what she does at NDS, which stands for National Disability Services.
That's wonderful. So Samson has a connection with her. He's
Yep,
been working with Mary Lou for 3 years, I believe. So we're
yep,
looking forward to your interview, Samson.
yeah. I look forward to presenting it to everybody and seeing how things go. So
So,
yeah,
so what do you think? Do you think we should do a bit of a history background on the NDIS, or how about we do the mission statement?
all right. Yep, we can start with that. Let's do the
Okay,
music.
let me get it up. Can you make me co-host, please?
Yep, sure thing. I didn't realize you weren't co-host. There you go. Yes. There you go, Julie.
Thank you. Okay, we have the mission statement of Your Life, Your Voice on screen. So the mission is to move people from being dependent to independency for people with disability to allow them to live the life they want. So at Your Life, Your Voice, we feel that people from our community have no voice or have the confidence to be able to self-advocate or empower themselves due to not knowing or understanding what the term really means. Therefore, we want to create a channel, a YouTube channel, so that people from all walks of life have a way to articulate their thoughts and feelings to be heard despite their barriers. Your Life, Your Voice is a community based channel. Its primary focus is to provide a platform for disadvantaged individuals who want to learn what self advocacy is and obtain the skills to be able to do so for themselves. To do so for themselves. This is the only aspect. This is only one aspect of advocacy. However, we want to touch base on all aspects of advocacy. We also want to create a channel where viewers can interact with each other via social fairly and safely via social media. Participants will remain anonymous in order to protect their privacy and identity. This will assist in any backlash that the viewer might feel or may be suggested to due to the nature of the disclosure. Your Life, Your Voice goal is to create independency for people with a disability and their families, as we feel that the system that they are subjected to create or allow an individual to flourish and their life and in the life where they choose to live. The NDIS goes a long way to address barriers and the rights for people with disabilities to have choice and control. Okay, Sensor.
Yes, Julie.
So, what do you think of that mission statement?
I think it's a very good mission statement.
And for all those people who are online on the YouTube channel, we would appreciate comments on your views and what you want us to present to you.
Yep. Because it's just as much as it is our channel, it's as much your channel as ours. So we want to hear some feedbacks on what topics you guys want to talk to us about, or what topics you guys feel are relevant, and if it's a if we can find some guest speakers around the different topics you guys want to discuss and talk about, then we'll try and bring the guest speakers on and let them know that we have a couple questions for them, and hopefully they can answer the question they can answer the questions for you guys. And also, if you also have any questions for our um special guest coming on today, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, live chat section, wherever. Or if you also feel you want to take some time to think about the questions, you can email us at DND, your life, your voice, and at gmail.com. And you can email us and leave us questions there as well. So there are many ways for you guys to get in touch with us. So feel free to do that, and hopefully we expect to hear soon from you guys.
That would be wonderful because we are Kishiba based and we will be thrilled to hear some of your ideas. So, Samson, do you think we should give the people a little bit of pre-NDIS history, or do you think we should do what is self-abusing?
I reckon we could give people a pre NDIS kind of a little bit of history around the NDIS.
Okay, well, let me just set that up first. See, here we go. I have found it. The joys of going live.
Yep. And just the joys of technology in general.
Yes, which we had a few issues with today. Okay, so we thought it might be interesting for people to understand, some of the processes of government. So, as we know, governments could be quite challenging. You know, their language could be quite technical, but it's also important to understand that, things don't happen from thin air. So, most times, all the time really, when a royal commission is called for, it's because of uh, pretty significant issues in the community. So, in January 2013, the Honourable Dame Quinton Bryce, who is I think she's the first Governor General, the first woman Governor General in Australia. I could be wrong, I'm not sure about that, but she's a very significant part of government. Was appointed the Royal Commission to inquire into the institutional responses to child sex abuse. Active participation of children and young people with disabilities to be supported so they better involve in decisions across in a number of domains, including the education, health and disability support services. the diversity of children and young people with significant support needs who participate in this study demonstrates that it's possible to have a safe, creative conversations about sensitive topics in their lives. More than a matter of good practice, this is also a requirement under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Children and Convention of Rights of People with Disabilities. Tailored, innovative methods for effectively listening and supporting to the diverse views and perspectives of children and young people with cognitive disability need to be encouraged to ensure they can contribute to their personal circumstances, service environments, and broader policy change. This is sourced from the NDS Zero Tolerance. So following the Royal Commission had been in, I think it was January of 2013. So in July the 1st, 2013, a trial phase of the NDIS was launched, and the NDIS was introduced across Australia in 2016, which is progressively rolled out and not due to be completed until this year, really. So 2020, and there's the source of the information. So as you can see, a lot of things have to happen before a Royal Commission can take place, and for changes to for a great big policy change in government, which is the NDIS. And this is the biggest policy change in Australia since Medicare. So it took Medicare, a while to sort itself out in terms of, procedures and what to support, and so it does take a little while for huge policy changes in society to take hold and to make them better. So better through participation in the community, and the community that really needs the services. So the NDIS predominantly is all about self-advocacy, and this is a great step for government policy to really accept lived experience. So D&D do a lot of work in the sector, being representatives of lived experience, making it better lives for people with disabilities. Samson, would you like to add to that?
No, you pretty much covered it in a nutshell. Yeah. So that's pretty much what also, if you do have any complaints or anything about a service provider, you can always contact, the Royal Commission and remain anonymous if you choose to, but you can also contact them and let them know that you're unhappy with the service or anything like that, so they can investigate the particular service and try and help you to make the service and your experience within that service better.
So can you talk about the different ways that people can provide, tell their stories?
You can either call the Royal Commission, or you can write to the Royal Commission and email them and tell them this is the situation and this is your story, what you want to say, and they'll get in contact with you if they need further details. They'll reach out to you and ask you for more information, and then they'll investigate the particular organization or service.
What about verbal representations? Is that something that the Royal Commission and really other organisations take into account, because a lot of the people, well, some of the people I work with, um, have communication issues, and there are lots of ways
Yeah.
people can communicate.
I presume they would have protocols around that those kind of issues with people with you know uh, low communication skills and things, and people having to use different communication methods to communicate. And usually you can take someone with you that you're comfortable with to help you within the process as well. So yeah.
So let us know if this is information you want to explore further, and
Yep.
in our live chat. Okay, so what's next? So do you think we should bring up the side of what is self-efficacy, just to refresh people's memories?
I reckon that'll be a good idea.
Okay, let me set that up.
Um, in about a minute, Julie, we have our guest coming on.
Okay,
So yeah.
sure. So let's just see what happens. Okay, because we have Merida coming on in a short time. Yeah. So how about we can just have a bit of a chat, Samson? So
I guess.
yeah. So what sort of things have you been doing to support yourself at this time of
You
lockdown?
know, I've just been kind of, talking to my friends and talking to people around me, seeing how they're traveling and how they're coping, and just constantly being in communication with my friends so that I have some sort of outlet, some sort of leeway, and being able to share what I'm going through and how I'm coping during this isolation period, and things like that.
So would you like to know what I've been up to, Samson?
Yes, yes, I would.
Well, okay. So I've been up to a lot of things. So yeah, just I'll just go through some basic things that people can do, just to sort of like encourage them to give them ideas. So I've been learning ins and outs of Zoom. So so that's been rather exciting, and technical issues happen, and my tech man is on the other side of this interview. So together we work it out. And Samsung helped me navigate my way around screen sharing, and so I had to change settings on my computer because my screen sharing wasn't working. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but with a bit of instruction, I come through. And yeah, so I believe that Mary Lou has joined us, Samsung.
I believe so.
I believe so.
Morning.
Good morning, Mary Lou. My name is Julie Skiveris, and I'm Samsung's co-host. And I believe you know Samsung rather well.
Yes, Samson
Yeah.
and I have worked together for a while now, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 years to be exact, but who's
Oh,
counting?
okay. Oh, wow.
Ha.
There you go.
Yeah.
So thank you for accepting our invitation to be our first guest speaker.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, I'm very
This is
privileged.
only our this is only our second episode, by the way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So no pressure.
No pressure
No
at
pressure.
all.
No pressure at all. So Samsung, would you like to be the interviewer?
Yep, I can give it a crack.
Great.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Yep.
good.
The first question is, what is your role within NDS?
Okay, so I'm one of the national practice leads for the Zero Tolerance Initiative. So there's two of us in the role, and I'm also a member of the NDS Practice Support Network. And as part of my role, I'm the contact person for the Practice Support Network, which supports us national leads. And that network comprises of people with a disability and also people with experience in the disability sector. Yeah. So,
Yep.
Samson, I think sometimes our acronym NDS gets really confused with the NDIS, and just in case people watching this, I don't want them to think that I'm from the NDIS. I'm not. I'm from an organisation called National Disability Services, and we're a peak body for over 1,000 non-government disability service providers. We live with that, don't we, Samson, the NDS?
We do. People confuse us quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I was actually going to ask you to elaborate on that too, but you did a good job.
Meredith, can I just ask? Sorry, Samson, for
You're all right.
butting in. Well, I do have this issue I need to work on. So Meredith, can you give us a definition of, there's the NDIA, I know you covered the NDIS, and also the NDS. Can you give us a definition of the two different organisations or agencies?
Yep. So the NDIA is the National Disability Insurance Agency. So they're the organisation that work with people around their plans. They approve plans. So basically, they're the people who handle the money. The NDIS Commission is the organisation that regulates the service providers. So they have all the rules and regulations that the service providers need to adhere to. They also, you can also lodge complaints with the NDIS as well. And then NDS is National Disability Services. So that's who I work for. So we work, we have members, and we work in consultation with our members. We advocate on their behalf with government, the NDIA, the NDIS, over issues that concerns them. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And we
did that help, Julie?
It does help because I'm not a participant,
right?
But I run some cold specific groups for D&D,
Yep.
and like from my perspective, I really need to like hear these things often.
Oh yeah.
Because it is quite complex.
Very complex.
So from a core perspective, with language barriers and the people in this room are like academics. So so we try to break it down for our client groups.
Yeah.
Which are cold specific and who are so who may or may not have disabilities, but their children have disabilities. So it's really important that we keep on reinforcing the different roles.
And it is a really confusing space, I agree. So maybe for people, the easiest way I remember it is the NDIA is all about the money and the NDIS is all about the rules.
And that's a really great tip for people to
I use it all the time. Yeah.
Yep. So the simpler the better.
I agree.
For my sake.
Yeah, for all our sakes,
for all our
really.
sakes, yeah.
It's already confusing enough.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
The next question that I have for you, Luke, is how did you get into like your job and what made you want to start your job, kind of thing?
So my background's in training and assessment, and I've worked in and around the disability sector for a long time. I started in working around employment for people with a disability. Then I moved into work-focused training in mainstream schools for students with disability. Then I came over to NDS to run a great program called Project Able, which was a half-day workshop led by people with disability in secondary schools for year 10 and to 12 year students. And the workshops were around disability awareness and career opportunities in the disability sector. Yeah. So that's where Samson and I met. So he came and joined my team that I was supporting in Victoria, and I also had a team in Tassie. So yeah, so we did that for 3 or 4 years. Well, and then funding, as it does in the sector, funding ran out, and then I've moved into this current role as National Practice Lead about a year ago, and I love it. Not quite as much as Project Able, but I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what I found with funding, it's another opportunity to explore a different side of the sector. So, you know, and like, you know, sometimes we get too comfortable. So I think it's a good thing that we have, you know, timelines and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it stops the sector from being complacent. So I think, you know, there's positives and negatives.
Yeah.
In the system.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, I would like I'd like a more of a sort of like a ongoing process, and where the industry can address issues, you know, then and there, rather than have, like, you know, funding outcomes and, you know, timeframes and meeting those timeframes. So I think it's a good thing. So to have to have that sort of space.
I think too, kind of with that in mind, the sector's not very reactive. Like, it takes a long time to get the wheels going, and for change to happen in the sector is my take on things.
Yes, so, you know, indeed, are a part of a number of networks for change in the cold space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, and it does take time.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons, yeah.
For a lot of reasons, yeah. So, and safety is one of them. Yeah.
Safety, and, you know, so we work with our cohorts and our peers and all the people involved in the sector to bring about lasting change. But like you said, change takes time.
Yeah.
You know, and reactive change. And so, I think it's a great opportunity and time in history that we can address things quite quickly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true.
My next question is, who created the Zero Tolerance Initiative, and why do you think we need it?
So zero tolerance, and why do we need it? Sorry, Samson.
Yeah. And like who created it and why we needed it.
Yep. So, I'll give you a quick explanation of what the Zero Tolerance Initiative is. So it's an approach for disability service providers to prevent and respond to abuse, neglect and violence towards people with a disability. And it uses a
Yep.
framework that was developed in 2015, which has 5 levels of it. So everyone in an organisation is clear on what they're doing. So 5 tiers. First tier is understanding abuse, why and how and what we're talking about. Preventing abuse through the empowerment of people with disabilities and improving organisational cultures. There's also the third tier is considering additional risk for people and places that are most at risk and responding to abuse to ensure safety and justice for the victims, and also learning from abuse so it doesn't happen again. So behind each of those tiers, there's a whole range of resources, including films, e-learning programs, facilitators' guides, and practical advice. And it's important for everyone to know that all the zero tolerance resources are free for anyone to use and can be found on our website. So, and why do we need it? Well, back in 2013 and 14, there were a number of high-profile cases of abuse in government and non-government services, a lot of media attention on those cases that resulted in national and Victorian inquiries and reports written about abuse in services and institutions. So NDS as a peak body saw that they had a responsibility to develop a framework and resources to enable service providers to do a better job at what they were doing.
Yep.
Because what we found that lots of people knew about physical and sexual abuse, but there are other subtle ways in which abuse occurs. And we know that abuse can be accidental, deliberate, or systemic, but it doesn't really matter what the cause is. It's about the impact on the person.
Yep.
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 And also research shows that people with a disability are more likely to experience abuse, neglect, and violence than people in the community that don't have a disability. And there's also certain groups of people with disability who are at an increased risk of abuse and some certain settings and services. So the resources are there for service providers and an opportunity for them to make a commitment to do things better, to change things that make people feel unsafe or be unsafe, that don't support their human rights, and to change things so they are doing things better. Is that helpful?
Yep.
Yes,
That's
very helpful. Just to comment on your spiel, Mary. Our very first funded women's group was quite a while ago now, and it was in a day service, and I had eight participants, and from that 8 participants, 6 of them were sexually abused. And so the work that DDF done on the ground support the statistics. And so, yes, and also within the role, or my role, is to educate workers, support workers, because, some workers have been in the job for 20, 30 years, and they have a well-meaning attitude, but unfortunately, choice and control sometimes was not priority.
Yep.
And through the work that we've done, we've educated workers, and they go out with a different mindset. So, so that's a great outcome.
Yeah, I agree.
And the CEO supported the self-advocacy program.
Mhm.
So that was a really good outcome for everyone.
Yeah.
And it informed part of our role is to inform, workers and lead by example.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of our most popular and most frequently downloaded and used is our Understanding Abuse e-learning program, because it talks to some of those subtle forms of abuse. And I think what you say, a lot of support workers, their intention is okay, their intention is good, but what they're doing is not respecting people's choices and not giving people an opportunity to make those choices themselves.
And what we found after a year, the ladies came a long way in self-determination.
Yeah.
And the workers came a long way. So it was a win-win for everyone. And later on, as the industry is quite a support industry, so we bump into each other at different forums.
Mm.
And the team leader, was very pleased with the outcome, because now there's been change in the mindset of the workers, and the worker had adapted some of our suggestions.
Great.
Because they saw value when they saw it on the ground.
Yeah.
So yes, so we're very pleased with our very first women's group, and the women's group has been going in different councils for quite a few years now.
Right.
So yes.
Fantastic. Yep, it's great. I think a lot of support workers, they get it. Once they hear it, they get it. You can sort of see the old, mic drop. They get it. Mm.
Yes. So that's what we do. Part of our role is to educate the community, which is what we're doing here today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very similar to the work that we do at NDS.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yep. Every day. Yep.
All the time, and we always learn stuff too. The next question I've got for you, Mary Lou, is what has been the outcome so far of the zero tolerance program?
So since 2015, there've been we can monitor how many downloads we've had on the website, and we can there's an opportunity for organisations to have all the resources linked to their training systems. But it is difficult for us to get good data about change, because what we're looking for is change. Resources can be best in the world, but if they don't encourage change, they're not really working. So it's been difficult for us to get that information, because how do you measure change? But this year we ran a survey, a national survey, and 206 people responded to the survey, most of them in Victoria and New South Wales, but we got a response from every state and territory. And being in Victoria and New South Wales, the largest number is understandable, because big populations, but also our funding has come mostly from the Victorian government and some from the New South Wales government. But it was interesting, because 56% of the people who responded said that they had made some of the zero tolerance resources mandatory for staff, particularly around induction of staff. And 79% of the people who responded said they'd experienced a positive outcome as a result of using the zero tolerance resources. We also know from feedback from our forums and communities of practice that organisations are using the resources for induction, staff training, at staff meetings, and for reflective practice. And also we're growing aware, and this has been a trend since the NDIS, people who are managing their own teams of support workers are also using some of their resources to train their staff, particularly around, Julie, what you were saying before, around that choice and control, and respecting people's decisions, even if it's not something that you would choose yourself. So we've been really pleased with the uptake of people who are managing their teams to use those resources for their own teams to get that message across and to just start that conversation, because they are all free, so anyone can use them.
Yep. My next question is, how are you promoting it within the community?
So what we're doing is we talk about zero tolerance at every opportunity. Any work that we do, we make ourselves available to speak at conferences and communities of practice and forums and webinars to promote the zero tolerance resources all the time. What we've become aware of is that we have this great suite of resources, but organisations and people still need to learn how to use and get the best out of those resources. So this year, we're not building any new resources. We're going to concentrate on promoting them out in the community, but also we're wanting to branch out and promote them more nationally as well. So we're going to be running some free Train the Trainer workshops for people to come to so they can learn more about the resources and how to use them in their organisation. Yep.
Okay, you kind of answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yep.
But it says, do you have any plans to further expand the zero tolerance program?
Yeah. So every year we rely on funding. So we're always looking for government or philanthropic funding to build more resources. So it is, so the Zero Tolerance Initiative is a essential part of what National Disability Services do. So it is an ongoing program. And as I said before, this year we're really going to get out and promote it as much as we can, particularly with the Royal Commission coming on. There's being on at the moment. There's a lot of interest in the resources.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Mm.
It's been interesting for myself here. I haven't heard of stuff before, so there you go.
There you go.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about the different educational resources that NDS provides to service providers and organizations?
Yeah, so I said before, we're a peak body, so we advocate for our members, negotiating with governments and the Commission over lots of different matters. What also happens as a peak body, we receive funding to run programs and develop resources. So there's always new projects starting and finishing in at NDS. Currently, I'm working across 2 projects as well as the zero tolerance one. So one, we're looking at building resources around risk incidents and complaints, particularly for individual and small providers. So that's looking at ways that they can have better processes and policies in their organisation, particularly around risk incidents and complaints. So the other one we're running is conversations and collaborations, and that's around restrictive practices. There'll be some workshops run on restrictive practices, and also we're just commenced a national zero tolerance communities of practice as well. NDS is running a COVID-19 Safer and Stronger project for DHHS also. And we have a great program called Ticket to Work, which is a program that works with students while they're still at school who have a disability and work with them to find them work. It's a great program.
Yeah.
Early intervention.
Have you heard of it?
Early intervention. I think I have heard of it actually.
Yeah, early intervention. It's crucial. Yep.
Yes. I've just got a question for you, Merida. Hope you don't mind. So you mentioned members. When you mention members in the NDS, are they like agencies, organisations?
Yep.
Or is it something else?
No, they're organisations. So they're non-government service providers. So they're organisations that provide supports and services to people with a disability. So some of them are large organisations and they're medium and right down to sole traders.
So is membership compulsory or is it voluntary?
No, it's not compulsory. No.
And my last question that I have here for you today, Mary Lou, is how do you get stakeholders and people with disabilities to be involved in improving NDS? And are there any community or agency consultations?
So generally the way we operate at NDS is when we're running a project or we have a new program to run, we run it in consultation with an advisory group or a working group. And these groups comprise of people with expertise around the particular subject of the project, and always include people with the lived experience. In the zero tolerance space, we always include people with disability in everything we do. So say when we're making new films, there's always someone from the practice support network involved in the advisory committee, in the process of picking themes, the scripting, sometimes they're acting in them, and then right through to presenting at the launches of films. So particularly for us in the zero tolerance team, it's a crucial part of what we do, to have someone with a disability with us presenting any material that we're doing and co-facilitating with us. Yeah.
Well, that's all of my questions. Me and Julie would like to thank Mary Lou for coming on board and telling us about NDS. And if you guys want any information, any more information, the links to the website, their website will be on the description below. Yeah, thank you, Mary Lou, for joining us today.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you, very nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye. Well said, son. Thank you for suggesting Mary Lou. She's a very informative lady.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's why I figured to interview. and just talk about all the different things that are happening in the disability sector around very important topics like the zero tolerance to abuse program and things like that. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, anything that come up, please leave them in the comment section, and maybe we might even be able to get Mary Lou back again to answer some of the questions you guys leave for us.
Yeah. How about we move on to acknowledgements?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Let me just set
Yep.
that up.
That was uh, that was a really good interview. I enjoyed that.
I'm glad you did. I hope that the people on YouTube land got something out of it, because I certainly did. So we have, sorry, go.
I said I'm glad you got something out of it as well, Julie.
So on to acknowledgements. So we need to state that last session there was some misinformation provided at the last session that needs to be clarified. And from my perspective, it's a it's an introduction to going live. D&D is a program of the MRC Northwest region and is not auspice. And we would like to thank the management of Migrant Resource Centre Northwest for their support they give to the D&D Your Life, Your Voice project. Sorry about that. Let me put myself down. So this YouTube channel is funded by the Victorian DHHS and Moreland City Council. DD would like to thank them for providing funding to this progressive, thinking out of the box project, especially in these times living through a pandemic. COVID-19 has been difficult for people with disabilities being in isolation, and this channel is for them too. And in the next sessions, we'll be providing information and support on COVID-19 and long term. We'd like to thank our special guest speaker today, Mary Lou, for the NDS. This project would like your ideas on what the NDS topics and guest speakers you would like your life, your voice to explore. Please feel free to email us on D&D Your Life, Your Voice at gmail.com. So yes, thank you all for tuning in, and I always have this saying: you never know if you don't give it a go. So so on that note, on behalf of Samson Kalu and Julie Scaveris, we will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.